Have you ever had this happen? It's a Sunday afternoon. You're trying to get something done, maybe finish up a presentation for work, or you're just trying to buy something simple online, right? Like new running shoes.
Yeah.
From a totally normal store.
Yep.
You type in the address, you hit enter, and you just get nothing.
The spinning wheel of death.
Exactly. It just spins and spins. Connection timed out. And, your first thought is, oh, it's my Wi-Fi. So you go reset the router.
Mm-hmm. Blame the router.
Or you figure, okay, the store server must be down. What you probably wouldn't guess, what I wouldn't guess, is that the site is down because the soccer match just started in Spain.
It sounds like a total conspiracy theory, doesn't it?
Right.
But as we're about to see, it's a documented technical reality.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into a stack of reports that honestly paint a really chaotic picture of our digital world. We're calling this one the fragility of connection. We're going to be looking at what happens when the fight to control digital space ends up breaking the real world in some very, very unexpected ways.
And we have some really great sources today. We've got insights from cybersecurity veterans like Ramon Ramirez from RootedCon and legal experts like Ophelia Tejerina. The mission here isn't just to tell you some scary hacker stories. It's to show you that the systems we all rely on, the internet, the supply chain, they're just incredibly brittle.
So we've got a roadmap. 3 really different kinds of disruption. We're going to start with that soccer controversy, the La Liga case, because it really changes how you think about internet blocking. Then we're going to Japan to see how a cyber attack literally, and I mean literally, dried up the country's beer supply.
Which is, that's a tragedy on a whole other level.
But true tragedy. And then finally, we'll look at the hybrid fraud wave that's hitting Europe, where scammers aren't just faking numbers anymore. They're basically becoming your bank. So, all right, let's start with this soccer mystery. How does a game in Madrid knock out a business website?
Okay, so to get this, you have to understand the war on piracy. La Liga, the Spanish professional soccer league, they're losing a ton of money to illegal streams. That's a fact. No one's really disputing their right to protect their content.
Right. If you're selling a product, you don't want people stealing it. Simple as that.
The issue is the weapon they've been given to fight it. Back in February, they got a specific court order, it's called an auto, that lets them block these illegal streams. Now, normally, if you want to block a pirate site, you use a sniper rifle, you target the domain name, illegalstream.com.
But that's just a game of whack-a-mole. We all know that. They just pop up with illegalstream-2.com 5 minutes later.
Precisely. The sniper rifle was too slow, so La Liga went back and said, we need a bigger gun, and the court gave it to them. They allowed La Liga to block IP addresses directly.
Okay, let's pause on that, because the technical difference there is it's everything. A domain name is like the sign on the door of a shop. The IP address is the actual street address of the entire building.
That's a good analogy, but let's take it a step further for the modern internet, because that's where it all goes wrong. In 2024, most websites don't have their own private building. They live in these massive digital skyscrapers owned by companies like Cloudflare.
Right, CDNs, content delivery networks. So one IP address, one skyscraper could have the pirate stream on floor 4, but then it's also got a cooking blog on floor 5, a small business on floor 6, and, a corporate management tool on the penthouse.
And that is exactly the Cloudflare problem. When the match kicks off, La Liga systems find a pirate stream coming from that IP address. They just send an order to all the internet service providers, the ISPs, and say, block that IP. They don't check who else is in the building. They just nuke the entire address.
So it's not a sniper rifle. It's an airstrike on an apartment building.
Yeah.
Because one bad guy is hiding in the basement.
That is a very vivid and, unfortunately, a very accurate way to put it. The collateral damage is instantaneous. The sources we looked at, they mentioned cybersecurity professionals, the people who are supposed to be defending companies, who couldn't log into their own tools on a Sunday. Not because they were hacked, but because they just happened to share an IP address with a pirate stream.
And this isn't just for the 90 minutes of the game, is it?
No, and that's the thing. The blocking often starts before the match, during the pregame show. And sometimes the operators just, they forget to turn it off. There was one case mentioned where a legitimate business was still blocked on Monday morning.
Oh, that's a knife.
The owner had to go on Twitter, basically publicly shame the ISPs just to get their store back online.
You're losing money. Your customers think you're gone, and you're not even the target. You're just roadkill in a copyright war.
Ramon Ramirez, he's one of our key sources. He used this brilliant analogy. He said, imagine a supermarket. Security knows there are 2 shoplifters inside. And to catch them, they decide to strip search every single person who enters or leaves the store.
Wow. I mean, you'll catch the shoplifters, I guess.
You definitely will. But you've violated the fundamental rights of every other person in that store. And that's the legal debate here. It's a clash between intellectual property, La Liga's money, and fundamental rights like freedom of information.
And it really sounds like the courts are just siding with the money.
The sources call it a judicial disconnect. A judge sees copyright violation, they sign the order. They probably don't understand the technical reality that an IP block is basically a denial of service attack on innocent people.
And here's the kicker, right? If you're an actual dedicated pirate, does this even stop you?
Not for a second. That's the crazy part. The pirates all know how to use VPNs. They just change their location, bypass the block. The people this hurts are, as the source calls them, the Ant Pakis of the world. The regular people who just want to buy their shoes and don't know what a VPN is.
So we're forcing normal, law-abiding citizens to use tools designed for evasion just to get to the normal internet.
We are normalizing acting like a pirate just to get around the anti-piracy tools. It's absurd.
So is anyone pushing back on this? I mean, you'd think the big tech companies would have a problem with this.
You would think so. But it's mostly silence. The real pushback is coming from grassroots groups like RootedCon, who've actually filed an appeal with the Constitutional Court. But the big industry associations, nothing.
A conflict of interest, maybe.
That's the suspicion. A lot of the big telecoms also own media rights, or they have sponsorships with the leagues. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds them.
It just shows you the internet isn't some neutral public space. It's a battlefield. And we're the collateral damage.
Right. And that fragility is the perfect bridge to our next topic. Because in Spain, the blocking is, legal, it's court-ordered. Right. But in Japan, we have a case where the blocking was criminal. And the impact wasn't just on websites, it hit the physical world hard.
We're talking about the Great Beer Crisis.
The beer crisis. It's a textbook example of the bullwhip effect in a supply chain, but it was triggered by ransomware.
Okay, set the scene. This wasn't some small craft brewery.
No, this was Asahi, the biggest beer company in Japan. They got hit with a huge cyber attack. And usually when we hear cyber attack, we think, oh, they stole my email address. This was totally different. This was operational paralysis.
The actual factory floor just stopped.
Completely. The attack froze their logistics and production systems. They couldn't track inventory, couldn't label bottles, and crucially, they couldn't route their delivery trucks. So shipments just stopped.
And a city like Tokyo runs on a very tight schedule. You can't just stop deliveries for a week.
Exactly. It's all just-in-time logistics. Bars don't have massive basements full of beer. They have maybe a couple days' worth. So when the Asahi trucks stopped rolling, the taps went dry almost immediately.
But here's the part of the report that really got me. The damage didn't stop with Asahi. It actually broke their competitors, too.
This is the fascinating part. Okay, so you're at a bar in Tokyo. You ask for an Asahi. The bartender says, sorry, we're out. What do you do?
I order a Sapporo.
Yeah.
Or a Kirin. Whatever else they have.
Right. You don't just switch to water. So all of a sudden, millions of people switch brands overnight. Kirin and Sapporo saw this massive vertical spike in demand that their systems could never have predicted. They don't have that much extra capacity just lying around.
So their own stock just vanished. The competitors ran out too.
The whole system just buckled. The attack on one company, Asahi, overloaded the other two, and it caused a market-wide failure. It wasn't an Asahi shortage, it was a beer shortage.
It reminds me of that other case in the source files, Notori, the furniture company.
Yeah, the IKEA of Japan, they got hit by a group called Ransom House. Same exact playbook. It wasn't about stealing data. It was about paralyzing their ability to deliver a sofa from point A to point B.
It really hammers home that a cyber attack is not just an IT problem anymore. It's a physical world problem. If the computer says no, the truck does not move.
And we're so efficient, so lean, that there's zero buffer. One digital problem, and the real world shelves are empty.
So far we've got legal blocking breaking websites, criminal blocking breaking supply chains. But this third part of our deep dive, this is maybe the most personal. It's how that same digital world is being used to trick us directly.
We have to talk about hybrid fraud.
The numbers here are just wild. Europol says 850 million euros are lost every year just to ID spoofing. But spoofing feels like an old term. We've known about fake numbers for years. What's changed?
The quality of the lie? I mean, it used to be you'd get a call from some random weird number. Now, the criminals are exploiting the phone networks themselves to inject the actual legitimate caller ID of your bank.
So my phone doesn't just show a number. It literally pops up with the name. Chase Bank or Government Tax Office.
Correct. And just think about the psychology there. We've been trained our whole lives to trust that screen. If it says bank fraud department, your heart rate goes up, you answer, and you're already halfway to doing whatever they say.
And that's where the hybrid part kicks in. It's not just the tech.
Exactly. It's the combination. They use the technical spoofing to get you on the phone. Then they use social engineering panic to keep you there. Your account's been compromised. We have to move your money right now. And now there's a third layer. Generative AI.
The voice.
They can mask accents, they can fix grammar in real time, they can sound perfectly professional. It gets rid of all the little tells we used to look for, the bad grammar, the weird connection, that's all gone.
It's an abuse of the trust we have in the system, which that actually brings us to the BISM case in Spain. It wasn't spoofing, but it was about abusing a system's, I guess, politeness.
This is such a critical lesson for anyone running a business online. So BISM is like the Venmo or Cash App of Spain. It's everywhere. And they got hit with an 80,000 euro fine from the Data Protection Agency.
But they weren't hacked in the traditional sense, right? No one stole a database.
No, they were scraped. Attackers just used bots to ask the BISM system over and over, hey, is this phone number a user? What about this one and this one? Millions of times.
And BISM just kept answering.
It politely said yes or no every single time. And in doing so, it confirmed which phone numbers belong to their users, which is private data.
That seems like such a basic thing to miss. Why didn't they stop it?
They failed to implement something called rate limiting. It's a fundamental security idea. If you walk into a library and ask for one book, fine. If you ask for 5,000 books in 1 minute, the librarian should probably call security.
Here's if we had no librarian.
The door was wide open. They figured because the type of request was legitimate, the app needs to check for users, the volume of requests didn't matter. But in security, volume is everything.
So if we step back and look at all three of these stories, La Liga is overblocking, Asahi is fragile chains, and BISM is blind trust.
The common thread through all of it is that our digital world is powerful, but it's incredibly brittle. We've built it for speed, not for resilience.
The source material talks about a shift in thinking to something called zero trust. It sounds a little paranoid, to be honest.
It is paranoid, but it's also necessary. The old model was trust, but verify. If you're inside the castle walls, you're probably safe. The new model is never trust, always verify.
So even if the call says it's your bank, don't trust it. Hang up, call them back on the official number.
Exactly. Even if a website is down, don't just assume your internet is broken. Check if there's a soccer game on. We have to stop assuming the system is working in our favor by default.
Before we wrap up, there's one last point from the reports I wanted to touch on. It was a bit different from the corporate stuff, but it really stuck with me. It was about kids and live streaming.
Yes. This is sort of the human cost of living in this fragile, high-pressure digital world.
The report mentioned this rising trend where kids, minors, are performing extreme or impulsive acts on live streams. Not because they're bad kids, but just to keep an audience engaged.
It's the attention economy turned against a developing brain. We just spent all this time talking about how billion-dollar companies can't even control their own digital environments. They're creating chaos.
And then we hand those same chaotic, high-stakes tools to a 10-year-old and basically say, okay, go build your personal brand.
Exactly. If the infrastructure is this messy for the pros, where your privacy can be scraped, your calls can be faked, and your business can be knocked offline by a court order, what chance does a child have? We're building these systems way faster than we can secure them, and definitely faster than we can understand what they're doing to us psychologically.
That is a heavy thought. The fragility isn't just in the servers. It's in us, too.
It is. But understanding how it all works is the first step.
Absolutely.
All right.
So, listener, here's your takeaway. The next time your internet goes out on a weekend, don't just kick the router. Maybe check the soccer schedule. And if your bank calls you with an urgent problem, hang up.
Call them back on the number on your card. Always.
Wise words. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.